Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for this urgent and powerful live stream. Don't mess with Texas. I'm Chris Percy, and I'll be your host tonight. I would love it if you could, in the chat, share with us your first name and where you're tuning in from. Let's show our friends in Texas that we got they back. So, right into the chat, your first name, and let us know where you're viewing us from. We are in the middle of a once in a generation political power grab. Right now, the Texas legislature is attempting to redraw district lines in a way that could create five new Republican leaning seats targeting diverse communities in Austin, Dallas, Houston, and South Texas. This isn't just a redistricting plan. It's a brazen attempt to rig future elections and to silence the voices of everyday Texans. So, tonight we'll hear from four bold, fearless leaders on the front lines of this fight. Tonight we're going to hear from the chairman of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, Congressman Greg Casar, representing the progressive vision that Texans deserve. We're going to hear from State Representative Nicole Collier, a longtime advocate for civil rights and justice. We're going to hear also from State Representative James Talarico, a rising voice for young working class Texans. And of course, our friend of Move On, former representative and former gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke, who continues to mobilize millions in the fight for democracy. So we got a time we're going to have on tonight. Together, they'll help us unpack the strategy, the stakes, and how you can plug into this critical moment. And you might be watching us tonight saying, how can I be a part? You can go to moveon.org/donate-TX to donate to Texas House Democrats as they fight Governor Abbott and Trump's power grab. Again, go to moveon.org/donate-TX to donate to Texas House Democrats right now. So settle in, share this stream, stay engaged, get you some pen and pencil, take some notes, because the future of fair representation in Texas and the United States is on the line. So let's get right into it. I want to thank you all for being here this afternoon. I mean, we are truly in the midst of folks who are on the front line. So I just want to take this moment to publicly just say thank you for all the work that you're doing and for what you're doing, not just in Texas, but this is reverberating around the country. I want to first begin with State Representatives Collier and Talarico, who have courageously left the state to block the vote and deny Republicans the quorum that they need, literally putting your bodies and your livelihoods on the line for democracy. So this moment is really historic, and the stakes couldn't be higher, not just for Texas, but for the country. So I want to start with you, State Representative Collier, and I'd like to ask you if you could just catch people up on what's going on. Some people may not have been fully tuning in, and they may have gotten an email and like, oh, what is this that they're talking about? Can you just let us know what is going on in Texas?
Sure. Thanks, Chris, for having me on. Let me tell you, the Republicans in Texas have surrendered. Instead of taking their orders from the voters that elected them, they're taking orders from Trump. And Trump is in trouble. He's very concerned about this upcoming election. So he knows that the voters aren't happy with him. He knows that you guys, all of us, we're not happy because the price of eggs are still high. We know that the tariffs are kicking in and they are cutting into our livelihood and our necessities, the ability to buy necessities. He knows that he can't win under the current max. So what does he do? He tries to change the outcome. So he doesn't trust Texas voters and he doesn't trust voters, period. So he has to rig the elections by asking Abbott. So he contacts Abbott and asks Abbott to draw lines to make it good for him. And the reason why that's a problem is because we have a process. We have a decade, we have a census, and we have a process on how to draw lines. We don't normally do it mid-decade, right in the middle of the game. And so the problem is that he's trying to rig our elections on the backs and at the cost of voters of color. He's trying to reduce your vote and your impact by drawing lines that precisionally cut us out and reduce our impact. So Texas House Democrats have had enough. We are taking a stand and we're resisting Trump's Texas takeover, and we're doing it together because it's not just for us. Because if this happens in Texas, it's coming to the ballot box near you. You will be impacted because if he gets away with it, they're going to continue to dilute and crack our communities of color and reduce your impact and your vote. So we've got to take a stand against it, and that's what we're doing.
Thank you so much for explaining that. It's crazy, especially considering all the work that has happened in this country to enfranchise so many people to see this happening. I want to go now to State Rep Talarico. What has shifted since you've left Texas? Oh, you're muted.
You know, I think we've shined a national and international spotlight on this power grab in Texas. I saw some stats yesterday that showed Google searches for gerrymandering and redistricting have skyrocketed. And so I think people are waking up to what's happening in our broken political system. And, you know, I know that Representative Collier and I have just been overwhelmed with the response across the state of Texas and across the country, with people reaching out and thanking us for fighting for them. And it's not just Democrats, it's independents and Republicans too. I got a message from a Republican back in Texas just yesterday afternoon saying that, you know, they don't agree with me on politics, but they think this is wrong and they don't think the next election should be rigged. And Representative Collier is exactly right. Trump is trying to steal 5 congressional seats because he thinks he's going to lose, because his policies are unpopular. He's wrecking the economy, he's starting wars, he's protecting pedophiles, he's kicking millions of people off their health care to fund tax cuts for billionaires. And so he knows that's unpopular, and that's why he's asking Texas Republicans to shield him from the voters, shield him from accountability. So this is not about the Democratic Party, it's about the democratic process. Can people, Democrats, independents, and Republicans alike, can they change their government from the bottom up? Can they elect the representatives of their choice? Can they hold powerful leaders accountable? That's what's at stake here. And, you know, like Representative Collier said, he's trying to cheat. We know that Donald Trump cheats at golf. He cheats on his wives. He cheats in his businesses. And of course, he cheats in elections. If you remember, after he lost the 2020 election, he called Georgia Republicans and asked them to find him 11,000 more votes. Thankfully, they said, no, sir. But when Trump called Texas Republicans and asked them to find him 5 more congressional seats, they said, how about Thursday? And so the responsibility to defend and fix this representative democracy fell to Texas Democrats, and we were proud to answer the call.
Thank you so much. Thank you for shining that light. I want to go now to a good friend of Move On, Mr. O'Rourke. Thank you again for being here with us tonight. You know, why should people who are like, well, I don't live in Texas, so, and this is not, you know, like I live in Chicago, right? And so it's like, I don't live in Texas. Why should people who don't live in Texas care about what Governor Abbott and Trump are doing in Texas? Why is that important?
Hey, Chris, thank you for bringing us together and putting us all in front of Move On right now, because this is the most important fight in the country. And I think it's one of the most important fights this country has ever seen. I'll tell you the stakes, at least as I see them. Okay. If Democrats fail, if these 56 Democrats fail to succeed, then there will no longer be a check on Trump's lawlessness. There will be no accountability for his corruption or his crimes. There will be the very real prospect that a Republican majority Congress in 2028 rolls out the royal red carpet for a Trump third term, which he has warned us he will pursue if there is no one there to check him. If we succeed, if we have the backs of James and Nicole and these 54 other extraordinarily courageous human beings, regardless of their party, they're just patriotic, courageous Americans. If we succeed, then we could see an end to these plainclothes, masked federal agents without warrants or badges sweeping our fellow Americans up off the streets. We could see an end to the massive transfer of wealth. That big, beautiful bill, there was nearly $1 trillion that was moved from working Americans to literally the wealthiest 1% in this country. And we could see free and fair elections in 2028, which is all anyone is asking for, so that the will of the American people can be done. So whether you live in Texas, whether you live in Chicago, whoever you are among the 330 million Americans, this is the most important fight. They are trying to steal the 2026 election in the summer of 2025. And these 56 Democrats from Texas are all that stand between us and that future of consolidation of authoritarian power in the hands of Donald Trump. So get behind them with all that you've got. Yes, it's the money and the resources, and I hope everyone donates tonight, but it's also the moral support and the encouragement and letting them know that you've got their backs. So thank you, Chris, for making this possible tonight, and big thanks to the 56 who are out there doing the work of this country right now.
Definitely. Thank you. And while we still have you, I want to follow up with you right quick. Like you've been touring the state of Texas. You've been going all over the country as of late. I'm wondering, like what are the conversations that you're having and hearing on the ground as you do your travel around the country and around the state of Texas?
You know, I think Nicole hit it on the head at the outset. I was in Oklahoma City last night, Omaha the night before, Kansas City, Indianapolis, Milwaukee. We're going to be in Fort Worth on Saturday, Abilene on Sunday. No matter where I go, people are pissed off. And they're not Democrats, they're not Republicans, they're not independents, because we don't screen at the door. Open to all comers welcome, no holds barred. They're just Americans who see this country in the hands of a would-be dictator, managed by these would-be fascists who are driving this country into the ditch. The cuts to Medicaid, the rural hospitals closing down, the teachers who are working second and third jobs just to make ends meet, family members who are swept up in these Gestapo-style purges throughout these American cities, the terror that we feel at seeing $45 billion in this big, beautiful bill committed to new ICE detention capacity at a time that we have record low undocumented immigration and record high immigration sweeps throughout this country. Who in the hell are these new cells being built for, if not for not just the immigrant, but the US born child of immigrant parents, the political opponents of Donald Trump, anyone who is inconvenient or in the way right now? And what I'm hearing, Chris, is they want people to fight back. They've been asking me, where the hell are the Democrats? Why don't they show up? What's going on? And then now you have it. These 56 people showed up to fight for all of us. And Chris, it's absolutely electrifying and energizing across the country. Everyone has finally gotten the fight that they're looking for. And not only are they saving these 5 congressional seats in Texas from being stolen, they are inspiring people to have courage, because we've seen the law firms bend the knee. We saw Tim Cook hand over the gold-plated iPhone yesterday to Donald Trump. We've seen the titans of technology and algorithm do everything they can to become subservient to the most powerful man in the world. And the last place that some would expect it to come from, Texas, is providing the most important front in this fight right now. So that's what I'm hearing, Chris. And that's why, despite the darkness of these days, I'm so goddamn encouraged and hopeful for our country. And that's why we got to have their back, so that they can stay out there as long as it takes in order to win and stop this grab of power and ensure that we win the House and ensure that we save the country.
Definitely. And that's a message to send around to our friends. Be goddamn encouraged in this fight, because there's so much happening. And, you know, I want to thank you so much, Beto. I know you have to go. I really appreciate you for stopping by. And my message to you on the behalf of my friends and colleagues at Move On is keep on keeping on. Like, keep on having these conversations, keep on talking to people, keep on having that wide door open, letting anybody come in, right? So then we can do this together, because this is about a democracy. It's not about blue or red. It's about everybody. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really do appreciate you. Before we go back in, remember, folks, you can help out right now by going to moveon.org/donate-TX to donate to Texas Democrats who are leading this fight for fair democracy as we speak. Again, moveon.org/donate-TX. Now I would love to go to Congressman Casar. Thank you again so much for being with us tonight. It's clear that Republicans are trying to rig the game to further their own reasons. How should Democrats show up at this moment, given the impact that this would have on 2026?
Look, just like Beto was saying, I think it's really clear the harm that Trump and the Trump Republican Party is inflicting on everyday folks. But I think so many voters, so many people probably watching this call are looking for, what does the Democratic fight really look like? Because there were way too many establishment Democratic voices that said the response of Democrats to Donald Trump should be to roll over and play dead so that nobody notices us and people just notice the bad things Trump is doing. That hasn't worked. And I think that folks like Representative Collier, Representative Talarico are showing the entire country what standing up to the Trump administration when it's all on the line really looks like. For the folks watching at home, you may not have seen, because the media is not talking enough about the level of risk that these brave Texas Democrats on this call are undertaking. Donald Trump just said that he wants to send the FBI after them. Governor Greg Abbott, like a wannabe dictator coward, is going to court saying he wants to remove Texas Democrats unilaterally from office. That voters voted them in, but the governor is saying he wants a judge to remove them, and then the governor could put his own handpicked lackey in their seat. I mean, what kind of country is this? And Texas Democrats fighting back, even when they're being threatened that way by their governor and by a wannabe dictator president, I think should be an inspiration to everybody that we've all faced as a nation times this hard before in generations past. But now the torch has been passed along to us. The responsibility has been passed along to us. And you're now seeing what the fight back can really look like, because this is going to be the only way we turn things around. If we just play dead, if we just say, look, we're going to do it the way Democrats have done it in the past, Trump will take these 5 seats in Texas. He's already said that he's going to Missouri next. J.D. Vance was just meeting with the governor of Indiana, wanting to steal seats and gerrymander seats in Indiana. Ron DeSantis just announced today he wants 3 or 4 in Florida. They're trying to rig the midterm elections before anybody gets to cast a vote. And so we can't act like everything is normal. And these Texas Democrats should be showing folks what everybody should be asking for their Democratic representative, which is to put it on the line now. And that's why I'm so proud of them. And it's the kind of fight we need to have. So if you're watching at home and you're in a blue state, ask your governor to take the fight to Trump and to this gerrymandering, like Gavin Newsom is taking the fight to them. We can't keep acting like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and playing by one set of rules as Democrats, while Republicans take pages out of the playbook of authoritarians and dictators all around the world.
Yes. No, thank you so much. And I mean, like, seriously, it's a scary time. We're seeing things that we've never seen before, and we are needing our leaders to actually step up. Representative Collier, how can Move On members and those watching help Texas Democrats overcome Abbott's power grab? What can they do right now to help the work that you're doing?
Absolutely. So, we need you to remind your family and friends that Trump is not like us. His privilege has him thinking that he can wave a wand and he can magically make things the way he wants it. But we've got to bring reality back to him and let him know that we will not allow him to cut Pell Grants and financial aid. We will not allow him to cut food programs for children. We will not allow him to risk Social Security. And so we need you to remind everybody that they've got to get out and vote. Call your state representative, your senator. Let them know that you want to stop the Texas steal. I don't care what state you live in. Let your representative know how you feel. Whether you live in Michigan, whether you live in Oklahoma, Louisiana, California, Arizona, you need to call your representative. Tell the congressional members, Republican or Democrat, that you do not support mid-decade redistricting. Tell them that they need to oppose this process, because what happens in Texas can very well happen to you. So we need everybody, get on the phone, call your friends, text them, let them know that we've got to take a stand. We got to hold the line against Trump's Texas takeover, and we've got to make sure that we show up at the ballot box when it comes time to vote.
That's right. And I just want you to know, I heard that they not like us. Okay, I just wanted to put my little finger on that. Representative Talarico, what does it say about the state of our country and the state of our democracy that lawmakers like you are having to fear arrest for doing their job?
Right, and that last part is really important. Breaking quorum is something that's protected in our state's constitution. It is a tool the minority can use to check the majority, especially when the majority is abusing their power. And this is certainly an example of that, trying to steal the next election at the direct request of the most powerful politician in our country. And, Greg Abbott has threatened to remove us from office. Trump has threatened to send in the FBI. Ken Paxton posted a tweet to his followers asking them to, quote, hunt us down. And then yesterday, there was a bomb threat called into our hotel. And Representative Collier and I and our colleagues, along with the hotel staff and other guests, had to evacuate as law enforcement searched the premises. And so it should tell us something about the state of our politics when these Republican leaders are willing to endanger the lives of lawmakers who are doing their job. I didn't swear an oath to Donald Trump. I didn't swear an oath to Greg Abbott or Ken Paxton. I swore an oath to the Constitution, and I intend on filling that oath, regardless of what consequences may come. And so again, at least they're being consistent. The goal of these maps is to rob people of their ability to elect the leaders of their choice. And now they are literally threatening to remove the people's representatives from office. And so this is a page out of an authoritarian playbook we've seen in other countries. They may be coming for Texas Democrats now, but if this continues, they eventually come for all of us.
Definitely. Congressman Casar, what does it mean for how we confront the cruelty and corruption of this administration, right? Like, we're bringing up this, like, this is such a time and it's scary, and folks are like, well, what do we do with this? Like, so what does this mean for how we confront the cruelty and corruption of this administration and those who are backing this administration? I think I can't hear you.
There we go.
There we go.
Sorry about that. Look, when we're facing down the most corrupt administration in American history, we have to recognize that actually it's an opportunity for us to bring together a broader coalition than ever before. I've yet to find a voter when I've been going and traveling to so many Republican-held congressional districts, yet to find a voter that thinks it makes sense for the president of the United States to accept a $400 million bribe in the form of a plane from a foreign nation like Donald Trump has. Have yet to find a Republican or independent voter that thinks it's okay for Donald Trump to sell seats at dinner with him for $1 million, not to his campaign, but in crypto cash to himself, $1 million a chair to hang out with him or lobby him. And when we're facing the most corrupt and cruel administration in memory, we can go and build a bigger tent and bring folks in on our ideas and on the idea of democracy and against this kind of authoritarian power grab, because no matter how they gerrymander the lines, they cannot gerrymander out the people of Texas, the people of the United States. So your organizing work is more important than ever, because we've faced really difficult times like this before, like when the robber barons took over our government in the 1920s, the Elon Musks of their day. We beat them back, elected FDR, created Social Security, won the New Deal, beat fascism around the world. When the segregationists had a chokehold on Congress in the 60s, we won the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act 60 years ago yesterday, created Medicare, Medicaid, and Head Start all in one term. That's what's been passed along to us when we're facing the steepest odds and when they're trying to rig the game. That is our chance, I think, to build a huge coalition across the country and turn things around. That's the legacy that's been passed along to us.
Definitely. And I appreciate you bringing up the history, because sometimes we forget that we have been down these roads before, and we have a blueprint of how to keep fighting, how to keep working, how to keep organizing, and pushing for the progress that we want to see. Representative Collier, leaving your families, your homes, your community behind, that's a big and bold sacrifice to do. How are they fueling your resolve to keep going?
Well, it is a big sacrifice, but it's one that is definitely necessary to protect and preserve our democracy. There's so many things at stake. Everything is on the line, our future, our children's future. And so we're getting thousands of letters, like Representative Talarico said, supporting our efforts and what we're doing. And we've got to continue to do that. We have some colleagues in the House, Democrats, that have small children that are starting school, and they're making arrangements. We have members, we get paid $7,000 a year, $7,200 a year. So a lot of us have other jobs. So we've left jobs. We've left our spouses. Some of them are married, and some of them have partners. And so that is something that everyone willingly, voluntarily has sacrificed this time with them to ensure that we promote and preserve our democracy, because that is for the greater good. It is something that we have to do because we believe in this country and we want to protect the freedom of speech. I think Representative Congressman Casar talked about these things that are at stake. Being able to challenge your government is a fundamental right that every person in America must preserve. And when we have a government that believes that they can grab people, lawful citizens, off the streets and send them to countries that they have never been to, we have all got to say that is not right, and we've got to resist.
Definitely. Keep resisting. Congressman Casar, Texas Dems have once again shown us that, something that we've always known about the Texas spirit, right? When Texans say, don't mess with Texas, this is what they truly mean. What lessons can we as a country take from this moment? Like if we had to distill this down as like, okay, what folks who are organizing in Illinois, folks who are organizing in Arizona, what are those things that folks can take away from this conversation?
Look, in 1965, 60 years ago yesterday, the Voting Rights Act was signed by a Texas president. He handed the pen he signed to the Voting Rights Act to Dr. Martin Luther King. And they did that not because LBJ always had the best record on civil rights as a senator, but because people mobilized across the nation and across the American South and got him there. That bill that he signed has always been under threat. That bill that he signed, the Voting Rights Act, was to ban maps like the one that they're trying to ram through in Texas today. And what that means to an everyday person is that back before 1965, they didn't want folks like me in Congress. I right now represent a Voting Rights Act district, overwhelmingly Latino, overwhelmingly working class. And what that means is when there are these masked ICE raids that go hit a construction site and take dads away from their families, they've got a representative that their voters have elected to speak up and fight back. Or when a worker is killed building Elon Musk's factory here, I'm accountable to those workers and to those voters, not to the billionaires, and stand up to people like Elon Musk. They don't want folks like us in Congress. And so they don't just want to gerrymander us away. They want to suppress voters' voices and get rid of the Voting Rights Act districts that LBJ signed into law and that the civil rights movement marched for. We can't go back pre-1965. I think we have to recognize that we aren't fighting a new phenomenon. This is something that they've been cooking up since 1965. We've been holding them off. Are we going to be the folks that let us take us back that far? Or are we going to, just like folks before, not let them drag us back there? I think we have to recognize that we are part of that bigger movement. I think that's what we are coming to see right now. And so just know that no matter what state you're in, if in Austin, Texas, they're able to get rid of parts of the Voting Rights Act, next they're coming everywhere else across America.
Definitely, definitely. As we get ready to sort of land this plane, I want to end with both Representatives Collier and Talarico, and I actually want to start with Rep. Talarico. What's next for you and your Texas colleagues?
Well, we have all committed to staying out of the state capitol until this corrupt special session ends in 2 weeks. And that's not easy to do. As Representative Collier mentioned, many of our colleagues are leaving behind young children, aging parents. We're all leaving behind our day jobs because we make $600 a month before taxes for our service in the legislature. And so there's certainly personal and financial costs. But then the threats from our Texas Republican colleagues are adding even more costs on top of that. We are facing fines of $500 a day, which we're going to have to pay ourselves. It's not going to be easy for us to do that, but we're willing to because of the importance of this fight. But there are also other costs associated to a quorum break with this many lawmakers and our hardworking staff members who are with us, food and lodging and travel. And those we can pay for out of our caucus account. And folks can donate to that. Folks can donate here at moveon.org to help us sustain this effort. And so we're going to need your help. We're going to need your prayers, and we're going to need your support. I mentioned that we're here in Illinois. We're here in the land of Lincoln, which is appropriate because Abraham Lincoln broke quorum as a state senator back in 1840 by jumping out of a window at the Illinois state capitol. Thankfully, Representative Collier and I didn't have to jump out of any windows back in Texas, but we are participating in a long American tradition of standing up to bullies, of speaking truth to power, of civil disobedience, of good trouble. And it is our deep honor to do that with all of you.
Thank you so much. Representative Collier, same question to you. What's next for you and your colleagues?
We're going to continue to hold the line. We're going to fight the power, and we're going to keep on keeping on because we believe in you and we want to protect our democracy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who tuned in tonight, and a deep, heartfelt thanks to our phenomenal speakers, Congressman Greg Casar, State Representatives Nicole Collier, State Representative James Talarico, and Beto O'Rourke. Your leadership, seriously, your courage and your clarity in this moment is nothing short of essential. Like this is the base of what we need, right? And we are so grateful for your service and your fight. What we have heard tonight is more than just a political update. It was a call to our conscience, right? What's happening in Texas isn't just about lines on a map, right? It is about power. It is about representation. It's about whether communities of color, working families, and young voters get a fair shot at shaping their own future or whether their voices get erased. Governor Abbott and his allies, including and especially Donald Trump, are counting on the country not to notice this power grab. But guess what? They are wrong. We see it and we are going to call it out. And we are ready to stand with the brave Texas House Democrats who are doing everything in their power to block this rigged redistricting plan and defend our democracy. So here's what you can do right now to have their backs. I know that you watch this. I know that you're fired up. I know that you're pissed off and you're like, what can I do? You can go to moveon.org/donate-TX. Every dollar you give goes directly to the support of the Texas House Democrats, covering their travel, lodging, legal support, and all the costs of standing firm in this critical fight. Again, please go to moveon.org/donate-TX. Every dollar goes to support the Texas House Democrats. They are sacrificing so much to protect our democracy. So let's show up for them like they are showing up for us. So again, thank you again to our speakers this evening and every single one of you who have joined us tonight. This fight is far from over, but together we are truly powerful. So take care, stay safe, and keep fighting. Have a good night.